social media and say bad things about China are using Chinese smartphones. Like, guys, come on, let's have some respect. Let's have some love for our neighbor, And there are so many things, we cannot make the electric cars or solar panels without China. So many things, So there's a lot of dependency of India on China. And it would be nice if we have better relations, then we can actually want the Chinese companies to move their manufacturing here, just like what China did 30 years ago, right? So, China went to Europe and the US and they said, hey guys, why don't you make your Volvo cars here, your Panasonic televisions here, blah, blah, blah. And it was a win-win.
Let me ask about that specifically because the Belt and Road Initiative has brought a lot of countries together, and I've done a lot of research in this. China has developed special economic zones and free trade zones in a lot of places in Africa, Egypt, all kinds of other places where these special economic zones are bringing in Chinese factories, but also factories from Europe, factories from the United States, Canada, Japan, all these places into these Belt and Road financed special economic zones in these countries. And India is part of BRICS. It's the I in BRICS, right? So it looks like India does want to have a more meaningful relationship with other emerging markets around the world, but India is yet not part of the Belt and Road Initiative. Is there any chance in the next 5 to 10 years that India would want to work within that, sphere, within the developing of an international logistics and supply chain to develop those kind of special economic zones to lure in Chinese factories, to lure in Japanese factories and European factories into something like that?
Because it's so hard for a politician to say, let's do this with China, because immediately there'll be a very vocal crowd that will scream that somebody's being weak, we haven't solved the border issue, So there are these nationalists who are just like obsessed with the border. My solution is just to freeze the status quo on the border for the next, say, for 25 years. And let's fight in 2050. On the 1st of January 2050, let's go to war. Okay? But for the next 25 years, there are so many other aspects to the relations of two countries, So it's not just a one-dimensional border. We can focus on trade, technology, manufacturing, tourism, journalism, people-to-people exchange, Because once you like a person, it becomes so much easier to do business with them, right? And then also, you cannot say bad things about a whole nation, even if you like a few people, So, so for example, sometimes I get so mad at the U.S., and then I think of people like you, and, oh my God, what is my other favorite person? What's that? Harvard. You know him.
Mitch.
Yeah. Okay, so Mitch Krasnick, right? So I think of people like you and Mitch Krasnick. I'm like, okay, so I cannot hate the whole America.
I've done my job.
Yeah. I mean, so it's just a human psychology, even if you like a few people, 5 people, and then you're like, okay, I forgive the nation because I have these, few wonderful friends. So the people-to-people exchange is very, very important. And so there's so much to work on, and there's a lot of win-win opportunities, because we can learn a lot from China. We should learn a lot from China. China is 15 to 20 years ahead of India on pretty much all the metrics, You can look at GDP per capita, the average wealth of a person, the infrastructure, patents, manufacturing, trade surpluses, bullet trains, research, scientific papers, best universities, blah, blah, blah. China is 15 to 20 years ahead of us.
Well, let's just put this in the context of the Asian century. People been talking about this for 20, 30 years, really. The Asian century, the 21st century is going to be an Asian century. Well, Asia is a pretty large place, and India and China are both massive Asian countries, and both have so much potential because of their enormous population, resources, long histories, and so forth. I mean, and you've already answered this question, but I want to ask it in this context. Doesn't it make more sense for India to join with China? Wouldn't that make them like the most unstoppable bloc ever? I mean, why do Indians, because you've mentioned this before in this interview, why are there Indians that are so averse to working with China when it seems like India and China working together would be just, beyond power? I mean, it would just be so much, unstoppable comes to mind.
Yeah, well, one main reason is the U.S. has done a fantastic job of recruiting the smartest people from India over the last 30 years. So you look at the World Bank right now. Who is the head of the World Bank? He's a guy from India who moved to the U.S. You look at the IMF, like one of the chief economists, she's an Indian American. Similarly, like Google, Microsoft, the CEOs are also Indians. So these people have been like, the U.S. has done a fantastic job of recruiting the smartest Indians, and 300,000 Indian students are now studying in the American colleges. So they're going to learn the American perspective, right? So they're going to use Google, they're going to use Wikipedia, they read American textbooks that say capitalism and free market is the best. You have to privatize everything. And they read the horror stories about China. And they say crazy things in the U.S., like about what's happening in Xinjiang, Tibet. Like, they spread so many crazy stories, and all these people are, like the chip, so we are what we think. And they all have the American chip in the brains, So, so I'm one of the few people who, was able to remove the chip, and I get a lot of hatred, like people say crazy things about me on social media. Like, but look at him, he's a spy, he's a traitor.
I get a lot of that too.
And then one person is like, we need to kill ourselves. I'm like, dude, calm down.
Wow. Well, I mean, hopefully that's just a bot. Hopefully that's just AI gone mad.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to The Break.